Okay, let's talk about how we find the fair share value. There's a formula for finding the fair share value, and the formula is 1 over n of the total value of the goods. So you might be asking, what does n represent? N represents the number of players. That is the number of people sharing the goods. So for instance, in this little picture, looks like there's 4 people sharing the goods there. So here, n would be equal to 4. In any case, 1/nth of the total value of the goods mathematically means taking 1 over n and multiplying it by the total value of the goods. And when you multiply a fraction 1 over n by the total value of goods, it really comes down to taking the total value and dividing by n, or the number of players, remember, is what n is. So let's look at an example of a sharing situation. Take a few minutes and read in blue, the blue font, what's going on with this problem. Look at the players that we have here. It seems like it's Carlos, Sonia, Tanner, and Ren. They're sharing a pizza, and we can tell from the reading there that the pizza has been divided into 4 pieces. Let's just call them like S1, S2, S3, S4, right? And they have identified in the chart their values for each of these pieces. So for instance, we can see that Carlos values that S2 piece at $5 over here, right? At $5 and so forth. And maybe he likes that piece more than others because it has peppers or things all over it or something like that. But in any case, what we want to focus on is finding the fair share value. That's what we're interested in finding what we call the fair share value, and we're going to use our formula up here to do so. So according to the fair share value formula, what we want to do is to find the total value of the goods for each player. So that would mean adding these numbers across. And if we add for Carlos, what we get is a total. What we get here is a total of, I believe, $16. And then we want to divide that by the total number of players. Well, we already mentioned that there's 4 people sharing here, so we're going to divide by 4. And that will give us our fair share value, which in this case is $4. So the fair share value for Carlos is $4. And we can do the same process for all of the other players here. We add across. And for Sonia, I think we get a total of 18. And 18 divided by 4 gives us a fair share value of $4.50. And we could do the same here for Tanner. If we add across, I believe we get 16 again. If we divide by 4, we get a fair share value of, where's my pen? Fair share value of $4. And finally, if we were to do the same thing for Ren, and we add all the way across, this time Ren's total ends up to be 20, and 20 divided by 4 gives us a fair share value of $5 for Ren. So we have just found what we call the fair share value for all of these players. And later we'll talk about how we use this fair share value number. But we simply found this number by using our formula. So let's just look at a few other quick examples of doing the same thing, just finding the fair share value. Well, for each of these players here, they're sharing this cake. We can pretend that the cake has been split into 4 slices. Not pretend, but that's exactly what happened. And they have somehow valued these slices, and those values are in the table. In this case, when we add up for everyone, we end up with the same total. And sometimes you have same totals. So the total for all of these players happens to be $20. Total equals 20 for all of them. So if we divide by 4, because we have 4 players, or 4 people sharing. My 20 didn't come out right there. Come on, my pen doesn't want to write very well. Divide by 4. We're going to get the same fair share value for every player. The fair share value for every player is going to be $5. Okay. And let's just look at 2 more examples. Let's see, go to the next one, 2 more examples. Take a few minutes and read this situation. Now we're not sharing cakes, we're not sharing pizza, we're sharing these 4 pieces of furniture. And notice this time we have 3 players, 1, 2, 3, Anna, Belle, and Chloe. And their values are listed here for all the different items. But now, again, if we want to find the fair share value, again, we want to use this formula. So for Anna, we would add up all of these, and if you add all of those values together, you get 900. And we want to divide by the total number of players. So this time, if we divide by the total number of players, that means we're dividing by, how many players are there? 1, 2, 3, dividing by 3. We will get $300. So the fair share value for Anna is $300 because we took our total of 900 and we divided by 3. And likewise, we could do the same for all the other players here. Belle's happens to add up to 900 also. And if we divide by 3, we will get 300. And Chloe, if you add all of her values together, that adds up to actually 1,200 or 1,200. And if you divide that by 3, then we end up with $400 as their fair share values. So we did the same thing, it's just that the information in the chart might have been arranged a different way, but we have found the fair share values for each player. And just one other little example, let's go here. This time we don't have a chart at all, but we do have some information about what's being shared and how many people are sharing it. Take a few minutes and read what the information is. So what do we know? That there's some piece of land that the 4 players want to share. Some piece of land, we don't know where it is. It's been cut up into 4 pieces. We know that the total value of the land is $400,000. So that's all we need to find the fair share value. What's the total value? The total value is $400,000. How many people are sharing? 1, 2, 3, 4. Divide by 4. That means that the fair share value for each player here, again, ends up being the same number. It happens to be $100,000 is the fair share value. So that's the fair share value. In the next video, we'll talk about what we do with this fair share value. But now, hopefully, we've learned how to calculate the fair share value.